So welcome back, everybody. This is week 3. We're getting into our second module, and we're going to spend a couple weeks on this, what I call the silent era. But it's beyond the silent era. We're going to look at the beginnings, the early film, how it developed in the late 1800s and into what we now call the moving pictures, the movies, the film. It's an awesome long process, and we're going to get into that. The readings are going to be based on that and some short little videos you're going to see, including some original of the first films that came out in the late 1800s and early 20th century. So in addition to the material that you're going to be looking at in this course, the movies and documentaries, some clips, some readings of course, also have the opportunity here at Exeter University, we have a film museum. So as we're going to look around, I'm going to show you some of the things as the weeks go on. But these artifacts are the original artifacts and a journey of early film development. So you might be asking, what the heck do I need to focus on for week number 3? Well, let me tell you, it's all about the silent era. We're going to spend 2 weeks on this, the beginnings of film, looking at the silent era and looking at American film industry in its beginning stages. So there's a few things just to highlight to make sure we're all on the same page of what needs to be done. You're going to see some patterns and trends of how this weeks are going to happen. And you might already be catching on what's probably going to be due and what's probably going to be the focus. But let's just make sure we're all together on this. So very first thing, most importantly, you're going to watch short videos, some lectures. Now we can actually start posting some videos of some of the early film. There's a great little 5-minute video I want you to see of the early film that is already made, and it's going to be posted on there. A lot more reading intensive and here on out. So this week you'll have more reading. Next week as well when we get into silent comedy. And of course a little bigger of lecture, maybe 2 lectures, and all the reading notes will accompany that as well. Lecture points that we'll be covering, just so to highlight what that's going to look like, is reviewing the 2 phases of film study that we talked about last week. Okay. Looking at from scandal to social critic, how film emerges, and the back streets of New York and other places around the world and France and so forth, to Hollywood and being a major industry, and the development of the movie star. We'll look at that a little bit. The father of film, who might that be, and what kind of films were created in the early 1900s. Victorian women, the very image of women on screen, and how the screen affected the view of women from the Victorian woman to the flapper. We'll talk about a little bit. And then also don't forget, really important, to do the readings. That's going to be a huge bulk of this week, and it's going to tie into next week when we're looking at Charlie Chaplin and comedy. So make sure to do the readings. And those are going to tie into, of course, the small group discussion number 2, which will be posted. And accompanying that, make sure you know who your team leader is for the week so that they can do the synopsis after 3 days after the small group discussion is due, right? So if the small discussion is due next Monday, then the synopsis will be due on Thursday. Make sure you guys can collaborate together, work together, make it easier for whoever's the team leader for the week. That way when it's your team leader, you can all work together what to say and how to do that. That's very clear. People have been doing a good job with that. And then of course, reading lecture materials, doing a quiz, that's going to be due Monday as well. So group discussion, the quiz, and those are all going to help guide us into what we're going to do next week, looking at silent era and comedy. And we're going to get into our very first movie, City Lights, Charlie Chaplin. Wonderful film. If you've never seen it, very excited to have discussions about this. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Welcome to week 3.